Hey guys, it's Katya. Wait, should I change my shirt? I don't care. Hey guys, it's Katya. If you've been following me for a while, you'd know that I've been talking about this story that I wanted to tell. And it's kind of like the last of my high school story time, but I've been putting it off because it still pissed me off. But now that I can laugh at myself and him, I'm gonna tell it. This is a time that my first love cheated on me. So we start this story the end of my junior year in high school. I was in a musical called Footloose and I was the lead, and the other lead was like a really cute boy. Let's call him Abraham. So me and Abraham were love interests in the play, and there was like a lot of flirty tension going on. We went out on a couple dates and it was fun. Because he was on the lacrosse team, he asked me to be the lacrosse manager for the school, so I was, and that's where I met his best friend, Derek. After about like 3 weeks, me and Abraham were just not vibing. But by this time, me and Derek are really close. We've been talking every day as friends. I'm not a cheater, thank you. Mostly bonding about our trauma about him dating my high school bully, so bonding over the hatred of the same person. I think a week after me and Abraham stopped talking, he invited me to hang out outside of school for like the first time, and I went to his house and we watched High School Musical, and I honestly thought it was like a friend hangout until he kissed me. After that, we were hanging out a lot. We were basically hanging out every day because he was also in the musical, but I did not tell anyone because I didn't want it to get back to my psycho stalker bully who was his ex-girlfriend like a year or 2 prior. We'll call her Medusa because I have 5-part stories on her, so I'm gonna watch those. So we were secretly meeting up after every rehearsal for the musical. We would drive out to a park, hang out, go get dinner, stuff like that. Basically for like 2 months. The musical happened and I was like, well, I don't have an excuse to see him anymore, and if I still keep hanging out with him, people are gonna know. So I got a little scared and I was like, let's just try being friends. Like, I don't know, I don't want to date. So right after that, I went on a choir trip to New Orleans, and it was the first time that I didn't see him for a week. And I think that's what made me realize that I miss him. The day I landed, he came to my house and we went out to the beach. He kissed me again. He also told me he loved me that day. I think I said something stupid. He was like, oh, I love you. And I was like, excuse me? And then he ran out of the trunk. And I pretended nothing happened. And then a week goes by and we're singing in the car, and Bruno Mars is on the radio and we're singing along to a song, and I make a funny sound and he says, haha, I love you again, and he tries to run out of the car. But this time I say it back and we started dating. No one knew still, like not even my friend group. So after we made it official, I told them, and the whole school found out when I think 2 or 3 months in, I posted a picture of us for the first time. At the time, I didn't see any problems. I thought we were perfect. Like, I didn't think he was perfect, but I thought our relationship was really good. We were like so comfortable with each other. We were best friends. But looking back, I can see a lot of red flags. He was a very flirtatious person because he was very insecure and wanted attention. He would literally flirt with everyone, every girl, whatever, send them hearts, hug them, whatever, anything to touch someone. I was like a confident, really confident person, so I didn't even notice. It was when other people would tell me, and I'm like, well, I guess that doesn't bug me. Like, I hug my friends, I have my guy friends, like I say I love you to my guy friends, like it's fine. Then I started to realize that the crippling insecurity was so bad. Every time I would say something, he would think I was making fun of him. Every time I would talk to a boy who was openly gay, he would get jealous and be mad at me. And whenever I was fighting with any of my friends, he would always take their side. It was like, yeah, my friend's not talking to me because she thinks I'm gonna get a better role than her in the musical, or I got this solo over her. And he would be like, well, you don't deserve a solo, she does, so how do you think she feels? And I'd be like, what? And like I had my problems too. I was very controlling because I was so used to being alone. And also he was so childish that I kind of like mothered him. Which is not good. The real problem started when he started talking to his ex-girlfriend again, my psycho bully Medusa. I didn't even know until I saw them talking in class. Mind you, this is after she had like harassed him for years too, and when she found out we were dating, she like told the whole school we had a threesome with her best friend and tried to date his best friend and like whatever. He had told me he hated her. That we bonded over our hatred for her because she like manipulated him their whole relationship. So I saw him talking in class and I was like, well, I can't like control who his friends are, but can you just not like talk about me? And then I saw them get closer. Like I saw them texting and I was like, well, I guess it's fine to text. Then he would mention comments like, you should get over your grudge about her. I'm like, my grudge is her filing a police report saying I keyed her car. You're being stubborn, like whatever. Basically causing a fight with me over why I don't talk to her after she harassed me for 3 years at that point. So it's senior year and they're friends and the new musical is happening. She's going around telling everyone how she hopes that her and Derek are love interests so she gets to kiss him again and whatever, like telling my friends this so I hear. And then they end up getting the roles. Every day she'd be like, oh, Katya, like, did you see Derek? Oh, he's in my parking spot today because I didn't drive, so I let him park in my parking spot because it was closer. So if you're looking for him to go home, he's in my parking spot. And I am like not a jealous person at all, so it was just annoying that, why are you talking to me? I don't like you. She'd come up to me, have you seen Derek? I asked him to drive me home today. And I'm like, isn't your car in the parking lot? Oh, like, I just don't feel like driving. She would text Derek that she loves him still and whatever. And I'm like, don't you see like, doesn't this feel a little disrespectful to me? Like, he's like, you're just holding a grudge. This is from your grudge, whatever. And I was like, you know what? She's gonna do something psycho. She did. She told everyone that I'm pregnant by him. So I guess that friendship was short-lived. After that, I thought everything would be great. We were prom king and queen. We had our friend group. That was another couple. But then college. I was in Boston and he was in Pennsylvania. That summer before, I was like, so are we doing long distance? We had been dating over a year at that point. He was adamant that we can do long distance and it will be easy. And I was like, okay. The first month, I literally probably saw him every week. Then October happened. It was just weird. He was very distant on the phone and I can tell that's when something is wrong. And then the month of November comes, which is Thanksgiving break. And his birthday is on Thanksgiving break. So for his birthday, even though he's being weird, I'm like, I'm gonna be the best girlfriend in the world. His mom contacted me and was like, I want to do something. I want to like rent out a recording studio. Can you invite all his friends who sing? Like, here's a list. And it was like friends that I was not friends with anymore because they screwed me over in high school. But still, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna invite them because he's still friends with them and like it's gonna be great. And then the day before his birthday, during break, those friends that I invited had a Friendsgiving with him and didn't invite me. And he was at my house that day and he was like, oh, I have to leave, my family wants to see me. And then I see Snapchat stories of girls sitting in his lap at this Friendsgiving that he didn't tell me about. So he calls me and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, we're friends. And I'm like, so? If I was sitting on a guy's lap, you wouldn't care? He's silent. And the next day is his big birthday surprise with all those people. I'm like, you want me to walk in there, sit next to the girl and have dinner with her that was just sitting on your lap the day before? He's like, no, come, whatever. It's my birthday, come, like guilt tripping me. And then his mom texted me the next day and he's like, what time are you getting there? And I'm like, fuck. So I go. Then we go back to his house after and he's being so weird. And I'm like, dude, I just did this whole thing. Like, you can tell me whatever's on your mind. And then I'm at his house and he looks me in the eye and he goes, you never think about being with other people? And I'm like, no. And he's like, do you know how hard it is for me to go to parties and see all my friends make out with random girls and like I can't participate? And I'm like, I'm so sorry that it's been so hard for you. And he's like, what if we did an open relationship? Like every time I'm home, I can come date you. And then when I'm at college, I can date whoever I want. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just like not into that sort of thing. Sorry. And so when I don't agree, he starts crying and he's like, I'm just kidding. I love you. I'm never gonna find anyone better than you. Like forget about what I said. It's fine. I was leaving on a flight the next day back to college. He's like blubbering, trying to get me not to break up with him after this, telling him it was like basically so he could be with me one last time before I left, which is I realized after. So we made up, and then the next day I'm on the flight home and he sends me a huge paragraph like I'm in love with you, like you're the one I want to be with, whatever. The next day I wake up, I'm going throughout my life, and I get a call from my boyfriend. And he's like, yeah, I just can't do long distance. Let me reiterate this. 2 days ago, he begged me not to break up with him. And then I went back to school and he breaks up with me over the phone. And at this point, I'm like pissed. I'm heartbroken. This is my first love. I literally didn't like eat for 2 weeks, but I still do not think any inkling that there is someone else. Like, I don't know why the thought never crossed my mind. Also, after he was like, I still want to be friends, and I'm like, okay, because like I said, he was my best friend. So we literally talked every day. He would FaceTime me. He'd be like, can I see you during winter break? But I did ask, I was like, but you're not dating anyone else, right? He's like, no, there's no one else. It was literally because of distance. And I was like, okay. So winter break happens. I take a box of his stuff to his house, and then the next night he sends a text and it's like, come over, wear something like that's easy to take off. And I was like, did you not just break up? Did we not? First of all, we never talk like that, ever. I literally thought his friend was texting on his phone, and I was like, huh? And he's like, hurry, I need to see you, I need you, whatever. So I literally call him and I'm like, hello? And he's like, what? And I was like, oh, it's you, it is you. So I go, and then I hear his phone like go off, and I'm like, who is that? He's like, no one. So I look, it's a girl, and they've been talking for a while. And I was like, who is that? I just started talking to her, like whatever, and I was like, well, you told me you're not dating anyone. And he's like, oh, we're not dating. And I was like, okay, but like if we're gonna do this, you can't be talking to someone else. He's like, yeah, okay. So later that week, we're hanging out every single day. Literally, I'm going to get a haircut with him. Like, he's telling me how much he loves me. I'm driving, he can't keep his hands off me, stuff like that. And then one day in particular, I hadn't seen his friends since we broke up. We're meeting them for sushi, and I was like, can I have your phone to do the directions to the sushi restaurant? Because he was playing the music. No. And I was like, what? He realized he couldn't say no or he'd be sus, so he hands it over to me, and I put it on CarPlay. And the same girl pops up in his messages, like in the middle of a conversation that was really flirty, and he doesn't see. So I go to the sushi restaurant and I was like, I'm gonna like not speak until he admits it to me. I eat in silence. I literally speak to order my sushi, and his friends are late, so I'm like sitting. He sits in silence, and I'm like, all his friends come, I don't say a word. I'm just like. So after we had plans to go roller skating, and I literally dropped them off, and all I say is, you're a fucking asshole. And he's like, yeah, I know. You're a literal dick. And he's like, yeah, I know. I was like waiting for some kind of apology, explanation. He just got off the car and hung out with his friends. I didn't see him for 6 months after that because I went back to school. I was not okay that we broke up. Imagine me finding out that he's been talking to someone. So then it piqued my curiosity, obviously. Who is this girl? So I go on his tag pictures, and she's been tagging him in posts, and he's been liking her posts since the summer before college. And then on her post, it's like him getting her flowers, like doing all these things which he never did for me, and I'm like, cool. So 6 months goes by, and now it's summer after our first year of college. One of his friends starts sliding into my Snapchat and like flirting with me. Now at this point I realized that Derek has a girlfriend. It's the girl that he was with. I don't know for a fact at this point if he's cheated on me, but I'm assuming he has because they've been talking since August. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll go out with you. Out of nowhere, he's like, oh, I asked Derek if it was okay, and he said no. And I was like, this man cheats on me, has a whole girlfriend that says I'm not allowed to date someone. So I text Derek and I'm like, this is the first time we talked in like 6 months, and I'm like, you can't tell people not to date me. And then he FaceTimes me and he's like, I didn't, like I said it, I don't care. And I was like, that's not what he said. And he's like, well, why does it have to be my friend? And I was like, it doesn't have to be your friend, it just is. And he's like, well, I don't like it. And I was like, you have a girlfriend, so shut up. And he's like, well, we broke up. I don't know how this conversation goes, but basically ends up in me making plans to go hang out with him. So I go hang out with him. I spend one day with Derek and we fall in the same habits. And then later that day, he's like, okay, let's discuss getting back together. And I was like, I'm not getting back together with you at first, but I need to know some things first. And I straight out asked him, I was like, did you cheat on me? And he said, well, we're at a party and I made out with that girl. And I was like, when was that? And he's like, October, my birthday month, 2 months into college. So it clicked in my mind that while they were texting during winter break, they were already dating. And he was like, I'm so sorry, I felt sick. Ask anyone, I even left the party early. And I was like, dude, like, if you told me you left the party, like, damn, thank you for leaving the party that you cheated on me in. So I was like, I don't know if I want to get back together. So I leave it pretty unresolved. Eventually, like a month later, I take him back, but I did not trust him 1%. Before, I think he could have had 5 other girlfriends and I wouldn't notice because I trusted him that much. But now, got to the point where there was this one day that we were gonna go to Disneyland really early, so I slept over. His phone was unlocked and he passed out. So I went through his phone. I found out so many things. I saw that he still talked to his ex-girlfriend and she asked if he's dating anyone and he said no, and this is probably 3 months into us getting back together. So second thing I saw was one day they took a day trip to LA with his friends and he didn't invite me, which I don't care, but like what? And he texted this random girl saying, oh, I'm gonna be in LA if you want to meet up. And the third thing I saw was his text with Medusa, my stalker and his ex-girlfriend from high school. And I found out that, first of all, during our relationship, he was flirting with her the entire time, saying things like he would be at a casino and he'd be like, you're my lucky charm, when he already told me he can't text anymore with my friends. After that whole pregnancy thing happened, he stopped talking to her. But the second we graduated, she texted him and was like, can we just be friends? And he said yes. And they've been texting all throughout college, including her leaving him voicemails saying that she loves him. And then texts like of them meeting up all summer. And texts of her being like, I can't believe you're back together with Katya. She's a heathen. She harassed me all high school, whatever. Him knowing this is a lie because he was dating me and saw what she did to me, said, yeah, I know. I'm seeing the notes app. Always go to the notes app, ladies. I'm not even sorry. The notes app where he's writing love letters to the girl he cheated on me with while we were dating. And I'm like, am I about to go to Disneyland tomorrow? I did, and I acted like nothing was wrong. We were in August anyways, so we had like 1 or 2 weeks before we both went back to college. And he's asked, get this, he asks me to do long distance and stay together, and I said absolutely not, you're gonna cheat on me. But at this point, it's like I've lost pretty much 70% of my feelings from those texts, from him cheating, from like me realizing what a horrible boyfriend he is. He liked me more than I liked him at that point. It's to the point that instead of going back home after his fall break, he just flew to Boston to stay in my dorm room and didn't tell his parents, telling me he loves me, telling me he misses me, he'll never find anyone like me, whatever. I still won't date him. But while he was leaving, I was like, okay, I'll see you Thanksgiving break. I don't hear from him the rest of the month. He was literally, he flew to Boston. And so I was at Thanksgiving break and I texted him like, happy Thanksgiving. And by the end of the break, I was like, oh, like, why didn't we hang out? And this man tells me, honestly, when you said I'll see you Thanksgiving break, you just like put a lot of pressure on me to hang out when we're not dating. You flew to Boston and stayed with me for 3 days telling me you love me and I'm the person you're gonna marry. And when I said, see you Thanksgiving break, while you left, you thought I was proposing to you. Then winter hits and it's winter break and I have like zero interest in seeing him, but he unfollows me on Instagram and I was like, no, there's a reason. So I go to him and I see he recently followed my stalker and his ex-girlfriend Psycho Medusa in November. That's why he didn't see me for a break. So I finally text him and I'm like, I think I said something like, say hi to Medusa for me or whatever. And he was like, it's hard for me to see you, like see your face and know that I hurt you. Like, why do you want to be friends with such a bad person? He was like, why can't you just be cool? And I was like, we're not cool. If you want to like do this, cut me off so she'll talk to you, fine, but we're not gonna be cool. Like, you can't magically have everyone be happy with you for your stupid ass choices. And then I stopped talking to him ever again. That's the story of my first love. No, my boyfriend had a whole girlfriend. Okay, that's it for this video. If you want more stories, follow, and yeah, can't wait to date more people. Goodbye.